October 21st, 2014, from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. It was Game 1 of the World Series between the San Francisco Giants and the Kansas City Royals. And on the mound for Kansas City was big game James Shields. And on the mound for the Giants was Madison Bumgarner. So James Shields came out to pitch the top of the first, and he led off a leadoff single to begin this game to Gregor Blanco. And then Panik got out, and Buster Posey came to the plate, and he got a single. So now he had runners on the corners and one out. Pablo Sandoval, Kung Fu Panda, then came to the plate, and he hit a double, and Gregor Blanco came across the plate to score the game's first run. Buster Posey was thrown out at home, so it would be 1-0 San Francisco over Kansas City at this point. So now Hunter Pence came to the plate with 2 out and Kung Fu Panda on base, and he hit a 2-run shot 421 feet, and it was now 3-0 Giants over the Royals in the first inning. Brandon Belt then got a single, but Michael Morse would strike out, and the first would come to a close, but not after the Giants had put 3 runs on the scoreboard. So now in the bottom of the first, Madison Bumgarner took the mound, and he got the first 2 Royals out, Escobar and Aoki. But then Kane got hit by a pitch, but Hosmer would get out, and the first would come to a close. So after 1, it was 3-0 San Fran over KC. Then in the top of the second, Shields calmed down, and he set down the Giants in order. And that would bring us to the bottom of the second. Butler would get a leadoff single, but then Gordon got out, and Perez hit into a double play. And that would be it for the second inning, so it was still 3-0 Giants over the Royals after 2. So now in the top of the third, Shields would set down the Giants in order for the second straight inning. And we would go to the bottom of the third. And the first batter, Omar Infante, ended up safe on an error, and then Moustakas doubled, and that moved Infante over to third. So now we had 2 runners in scoring position with no outs. Escobar then struck out, and so did Aoki. And so now it was 2 on, 2 out, and Lorenzo Cain would walk. So now we had the bases juiced for Eric Hosmer, and he ended up grounding out. So the Royals strand 2 runners in scoring position and leave the bases juiced in the bottom of the third. And so after 3, it was 3-0 San Fran over KC. So now in the top of the fourth, Hunter Pence would come to the plate and get a leadoff double. And then he ended up moving over to third on a wild pitch, and Brandon Belt ended up drawing the walk. So now we had runners on the corners with no outs. Michael Morse came to the plate, and he hit a single, and that would bring Hunter Pence across the plate, and it was now 4-0 Giants over the Royals. Shields would then be taken out of the game as he did not even make it through the 4th inning. Duffy would come in to relieve him, and then Perez ended up pinch hitting for Ishikawa. He ended up sacrificing Belt over to third and Morse to second. Crawford then walked, and Gregor Blanco came to the plate with the bases loaded, and he drew the walk. So Duffy ended up walking a run across the plate, and it was now 5-0. Of course, that run was issued to Shields. Panik then struck out, and Posey popped out, and so Duffy got out of the inning. But after 4.5, it was 5-0 Giants over the Royals. Now in the bottom of the 4th, Bumgarner would get the Royals out in order. He actually struck out Gordon and Perez, the last 2 batters of the 4th inning. So now after 4, it was 5-0 Giants over the Royals. Now in the top of the 5th, Duffy would set down the Giants in order. He actually struck out Brandon Belt, the last batter he faced in the top of the 5th there. So now in the bottom of the 5th, Bumgarner would set down the Royals in order. He actually struck out Moustakas, the second batter of the inning. So after 5, it was 5-0 Giants over the Royals. And Bumgarner's only lost 1 time in his entire career when the Giants put up 5 runs for him. So now in the top of the 6th, Duffy would strike out Morse to lead out the inning, and he would set down the G-men in order as they went down. And so now it was in the bottom of the 6th. Bumgarner still on the mound for the Giants, and he set down the Royals in order. So after 6, it was still 5-0. So now in the top of the 7th, Duffy's still on the mound for Kansas City. He would walk Gregor Blanco to lead off the inning, and then Joe Panik hit a triple, and that brought Blanco across home, and it was now 6-0. It's Joe Panik has now done what no one has done since 1982, and that's to hit 2 triples in the World Series as a rookie. Last person to do it was McGahee for St. Louis. So Collins now came in to relieve Duffy, and then you got Posey out, and then Kung Fu Panda came to the plate. He hit a single, and Panik scored from third, and it was now 7-0 San Francisco over Kansas City. Kung Fu Panda would then move to second on a wild pitch by Collins, and Pence would draw the walk, but then Belt struck out and Morse got out, and that would bring an end to the top half of the 7th, but not after the Giants had added 2 more runs to the scoreboard. So now heading to the bottom of the 7th, it's 7-0, and Bumgarner was still on the mound as he was making history. He got Butler to pop out, and he got Gordon out, and then Salvador Perez came to the plate, and he took Madison Bumgarner deep as he hit the solo shot to put the Royals on the scoreboard and make the score now 7-1. And that actually broke up Madison Bumgarner's scoreless World Series streak at 21 innings. That was going back to the last time the Giants were in the World Series, and it also breaks up his road scoreless streak in the postseason at 33 1/3 innings. And if you're wondering, in terms of the World Series, the most scoreless innings pitched to start a World Series career was also by a Giant, and that was over 100 years ago. That was Christy Mathewson. So Madison Bumgarner ends up with 21 scoreless innings to start his World Series career, and he's just 7 innings shy of the record set 100 years ago. As it was, though, they would get out of the inning, Infante popped out, and after 7, it was 7-1, Giants over the Royals. So now in the top of the 8th, Collins still on the mound for Kansas City. He struck out Perez, but then he let up a single to Crawford. Blanco then got out, and so did Panik, and we were headed to the bottom of the 8th. So now in the bottom of the 8th inning, Javier Lopez would come in to pitch as Bumgarner was done for the evening. He would end up getting Moustakas out, but then Escobar got a single and Aoki hit into a double play. So that would be it for the 8th inning. So it was now 7-1 after 8. So now in the top of the 9th, Frazier was on the mound for Kansas City. He had come in to relieve Collins. Posey grounded out. Sandoval ended up reaching on an error, and then Pence walked, so we had 2 on with 1 out. Belt came up and he hit into a fielder's choice, and Hunter Pence ended up out at second. Pablo was on third, and Belt was now on first. Michael Morse came to the plate with the runners on the corner, and he ended up striking out as the Royals got through the top of the 9th. So now we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, with the Royals only having 3 outs left in Game 1, as they had not lost a game yet in this postseason, and they needed to score 6 runs. Hunter Strickland came out to pitch for the Giants to close this thing out. Lorenzo Cain came up, the MVP from the ALCS, and he struck out. Hosmer then grounded out, and then Willingham came in to pinch hit for Billy Butler, and he struck out, and the game came to a close as the Giants take Game 1 of the World Series, and they end the Royals' unbeaten streak in this postseason, as the Royals had not lost the game until this evening. That they won the wild card game, they swept the Angels, and they swept the Orioles, as they had won 8 straight, which was an MLB record, and now they finally lose a game in the postseason here in Game 1 of the World Series, as they lose this one to the Giants with a final score: San Francisco 7, Kansas City 1. What a game it was. They jumped out to that early lead there in the first inning. They scored 3 runs, and that was all Bumgarner would need, as he had a brilliant performance on the mound. He did let up that solo shot to Salvador Perez, but he pitched 7 innings. That was the only earned run he allowed, the 1 earned run. He only let up 3 hits, 1 base on balls, and he struck out 5. Lopez and Strickland both pitched in relief, and they did not allow any earned runs. Strickland actually had the 2 strikeouts there in the bottom of the 9th. Shields only lasted 3 innings. He got the loss. He allowed 5 earned runs in just 3 innings and 7 hits, 1 walk, and only 1 strikeout. Duffy allowed 2 earned runs in 3 innings, and 1 hit was all that he let up, but somehow 2 earned runs with only 1 hit, and that was because of the 3 base on balls, as he was walking the batters there. But as for the Giants, though, they were definitely doing it at the plate. They had 10 hits. Blanco was 1 for 5 with 1 RBI. 1 for 3 with 1 RBI and 2 bases on balls. Panik was 1 for 5. He had an RBI as well. Kung Fu Panda Pablo Sandoval was 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Hunter Pence was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. He also had 2 walks. Brandon Belt was 1 for 4. He also drew a walk. Michael Morse was 1 for 5 with an RBI. So the Giants take Game 1 with the final score, San Francisco 7, Kansas City 1.